there are four fundamental pillars of what we call the ecology of practices of the EMP. That's movement, mindfulness, nature connection, and community. And then if you want to get into it, we can talk about the two undeveloped pillars, which is spirituality and ancestry. But
interesting. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
These all have to do with this idea of like, what are the fundamental relationships that any individual has to harmonize well in order to experience the best life, right? Plato talked about this idea of the self, the mind, as essentially composed of three different things. He called them the man, the lion, and the monster. So the man is the part of you that can perceive the future and plan and make make rational decisions, right? So if you decide to not eat certain things because it destroys your gut, as we were talking about before the call, right? it's the man that makes that call, right? But there's also this part of you which is like a monster, which is just the appetites that you have. It's like you see the chocolate cake and you're like, I don't care that I'm gluten intolerant, that I'm celiac disease. It looks delicious. I want that sugar and fat in my body right now, right? So that's the monster. And then there's this idea of the lion, which is sort of like it's sort of like the social dimension, right? It's like all the pressures are on you that come from the whole social relational world. So you may be like, oh, I don't want to eat cake, but the host is going to be disappointed if I don't eat this cake, right?
Oh, interesting.
Right.
There's
So
like
you
that
have
role to play.
that sense of how other people perceive you, and that's sort of what he talked about. And then this tripartite division of the mind has come up like multiple times, because that's basically Freud's concept of the id. That's the monster, right? The conscious, that's sort of the man, and the superconscious, which is the projection of society in your mind. And then the mammalian brain, the reptilian brain, and the forebrain, right? Like we keep coming back to this. But I look at it a little bit differently. Like the fundamental problem that life has is coordination problems, right? So we start as like these single celled organisms, and then they start to work together and they develop organs inside them. And it's like there's lots of different subsystems, and you can kind of divide it all the way down to incredibly small pieces. But at every level, you're trying to integrate them. So you have this diversity of things that are trying to be integrated into something higher. Well, you are a diversity of different motivational states and emotions and physical components, and you're trying to coordinate all of them better. And mindfulness and movement, they help you coordinate who you are better and get it all working in towards a common goal. But you don't end at your skin, right? You are continuous with, you are a product of the physical environment and the social relational environment. And so you need to, you want practices that also help you harmonize at those levels. Can I have more options? Can I have more connection? Can I be more deeply attuned to the natural world or to the physical world around me? And then can I do that also at the level of the people around me? And then when you get into the level of the spiritual, I'm a physicalist, right? I believe that everything we can explain can be explained within the realm of science and what is physical. But I also don't think I have a foreclosure argument on some other dimension beyond that. But that's just where I think that we can do good causal analysis, right? So, but what we can see is that, like, when you talk about the parkour community, what is the parkour community? It's this like network of minds. Like you are a network of neural structures that they're not exactly one thing.
Yeah, I could be a neuron in this network in a way, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
And then you could just say it's the same type of thing. Like I really sort of understand this through the work of David Abram and John Young. I was reading The Spell of the Sensuous and What the Robin Knows, and also listening to my friend John Vervaeke, who we mentioned at the same time. And I started to think, so if you walk through the woods and you listen to the birds will tell you if there's a predator nearby. It's not necessarily any one bird. It's this like signal that's moving, that's propagating itself through the whole neural network of the birds. And this is starting to come out in cognitive science. There's this idea of we intelligences. So like there is a spirit of parkour, which is like the sum of the neural network of people who are doing parkour. And that spirit, like you're asking, what is the future of parkour? It's like, well, the spirit is changing all the time. Things are shifting within it. And it's hard for any one individual to see it. I do see that there's a growing interest in parkour as something like a pathway into spirituality, or as the grounds of a wisdom practice. I think part of that's just that we're old, right?
Yeah. Like I'm parkour old is what I call it.
Yeah.
I'm regular young, but I'm parkour old.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had a 16-year-old at one of my like long seminars. He's like, I loved all the games, but I didn't get all the philosophy. I was like, you are not supposed to get all the philosophy. You're 16. If you got it, I'd be really impressed. But like, dude, just have fun. Like, don't worry about it. You may remember this like 10 years from now and be like, oh yeah, that guy Rafe, he was on to something. Right? Sometimes the message isn't where you're at yet. And like as a community, like nobody, like I was the old dude in parkour, like from the moment I started at 23, right?
Yeah. Thank you for being that guy.
Yeah. And so it's like, but now it's like there's a few of us who are in our 40s. There's a lot of us who are in our 30s, and like 30-year-olds are concerned about things that 18-year-olds aren't, and they want to articulate, and they want to have a sense of who they are in a different way, and their lives present different problems to them. So yeah, there's a growth, there's a change in the spirit of parkour as the participants change themselves.